Get notifications and stay updated every time I post a challenge podcast by hitting the subscribe button. Thank you all and hope you enjoy. What's up, everybody, and welcome back. And allow me to please introduce my guest today. You might recognize him best from that little show called Real World Hollywood a little ways back. Mr. DJ Will Gill, how are you doing?
I'm good, man. I cannot complain. I'm here. Thank you for the opportunity.
Yeah, I want to ask you now because obviously, as I just said, DJ, hence the name. With this whole pandemic and everything that happened this year, obviously, I'm sure that had to have adjusted some things for you, right?
Yeah, I've pivoted. I mean, I still do a few live events, where applicable, but I've definitely pivoted to doing all sorts of virtual events, whether it be DJing, emceeing, a hybrid of that, or I mean, I have a lot of friends that I bring on to what I call virtual variety shows. So I've been just working, man, working.
So how difficult was that kind of adjustment now with DJing and with the pandemic? Did that really, did you have plans set that were kind of shifted with the whole pandemic?
I would say my last big live event was this, ironically, the Super Bowl. Probably for most people, that was their last big live event before everything just started going crazy. Yeah, obviously corporate events, weddings, anything that I was scheduled to DJ for the most part, they went from March through May. They all moved to later this year, and then of course they moved again because it's we're not nowhere out of this. So on the flip side, my 2021 is pretty booked, but at what cost? You know what I mean? Because all those events, it's not I'm getting anything additionally. People are getting 2 gigs for the price of 1. But better safe than sorry, and I've made up for it I've done 82 virtual events this year. So it's that SEO game is nice, so I can't complain.
For sure. But I do want to ask now and kind of take it back a ways, kind of about your casting story and what kind of got you onto Real World Hollywood. Could you kind of break that down a little bit for me?
Yeah, so I remember auditioning for, I think it was a dance show or some type of thing that wasn't even part of MTV. It might have been for VH1 or something. And the casting director there was hey, I really liked that interview. I enjoyed it, but I'm actually going to be working on a different show. I'd love to take this video and submit it. And I was I'm down for whatever. I'm young, dumb, full of cum. I'm whatever. Let's take the opportunity. So she took that and wound up being Real World. And you do the phone interview, then you go to your local area. Me being from Detroit, it was Chicago. So my dad drove me out to Chicago the day of, and we drove back mad tired, and did a few more auditions, and then just got cast.
Oh, wow. So this was kind of a pretty fluent process then, right? Because I know everyone goes through those I've had a couple of crazy stories that have been told on here. So is it pretty straightforward for you? You just go to the auditions and then get the calls?
Well, I mean, beside the fact that I never went to an open casting where you stand in line or you submit, I guess back then it was stand in line. Maybe nowadays it's more online based. But again, it was a casting director who kind of took that tape and then she put it, I imagine, a few steps ahead of the process because she already had that in. She was working on the Real World. She just never said it to me in this other dance show thing that she was talking about.
So do you think maybe they had that theme of Hollywood kind of already pegged and they thought that maybe you fit the bill? Because I have had Brianna from your season on before, and she kind of told a story like that of how they knew she was a fit for that particular season and what they were looking for.
Yeah, good question. That's exactly what it is. So in that initial audition, I was talking about how I'm getting ready to move out to Los Angeles and I'm leaving. And, we talked about dance, but we also talked about me as a DJ and, music producers, publisher, songwriter, all this stuff in the world of music. So all the while she's hearing this, and I guess she's thinking, okay, this other show that is looking for entertainers and looking for people that want to be in LA. This guy actually might fit this show a little bit better. So yeah, she pretty much just kind of took a void and put me in that spot is what happened.
So you were dancing obviously prior to going on, as you just mentioned. Was DJing kind of in the cards as well for you, or did the show kind of play a part in why you got into that?
So, I mean, before the show, I was a choreographer back in Michigan, teaching at various dance studios and things like that, and hip hop competitions. So that was more or less just like paying the bills and saving up money to get ready to move out to Los Angeles. But my heart just, I enjoy dancing, but my heart's not really into choreography. It never really was, honestly. But DJing has always been my thing, just because my dad DJ'd growing up. I mean, he was in the band, grandpa was in the band. Like, music has always been heavy in as far as like everyone in my family goes. So, and that's at Michigan State. I had my first pair of turntables up there, and doing a lot of parties and seeing people respond to me just like mixing songs together. It was just like a rush. It was a vibe. So, yeah, that really helped, I think, to solidify what they were looking for. And I think they liked my hustle mentality, because back in that time I was selling CDs. Like, I had like beat CDs and mixed CDs, and it wasn't like rapping or anything, just like straight beats for other people to rap on. But I was selling them, and they had footage of that, and I think they showed that like portion, like the opening of the first episode or whatever. Like, that was real, 100%. But like, they wanted me to, how about this? So I wanted to come out here and like do music and make music and DJ and everything like that. But like, I didn't want to come out here and sell CDs. But they were like, hey, can you like do that in front of the Hollywood and Highland Center? So it wasn't fake, let me really put that out there. But they asked me, can they get footage of me like, slanging CDs or whatever. So
would you say that you went out there to kind of like maybe propel your career, or was it TV in your mind as well, getting onto TV, or is it more so just like career purposes for you in terms of furthering like maybe your dancing and the DJ thing, or was TV in the cards too?
TV was never in the cards. I've always wanted to be a behind the scenes kind of person. Whether I'm ghost writing or ghost producing, or just straight out producing somebody else. I'd rather somebody else deal with the cameras and being out there and in the spotlight and the pressure and all stuff like that. And just like how like a writer to a TV show, like they can just write and sit in their sweats and be fine, and then collect on residuals. Like, I liked the concept of that. So I never really, my goal was not to come out here and pursue television or anything like that. It was to come out here and get a publishing deal, so to speak.
So were the opportunities kind of like maybe bigger after your season of Hollywood? So coming straight off that season, like what were the opportunities and stuff like?
I had to go and get all my own opportunities, but I mean, the show itself, like the name, being able to say MTV, it helped me to secure a lot of them. But I just DJ'd like everywhere. Once the show took off, there were parts where before the show aired, there was about like maybe a 4 to 5 month delay between when we're done taping to when it actually aired. And that portion, I was still like putting out feelers, like, hey, just so you know, the show's going to air. I'd love to go on this spring break tour, or this student travel tour, or this hotel or these bars. Like, I'm just contacting like different small boutique like DJ agencies and said, hey, like, this is going to happen, like, how can we set this up? And then once it aired, even those that like never got back to me, once it aired, it was just like email, phone call. Can we put you on our website? Can we put you on our website? And so I just started traveling and touring and just really pushing my name and my brand as a DJ.
Yeah, and could you maybe talk to me now about maybe what goes into that process of being a DJ, like the preparation?
Oh, man. I mean, no two events are alike. No, I mean, there's so many avenues. Like I said, there's the traveling. It's weird to talk about this because like none of this exists here in 2020. But hitting up bars and bar managers, it's like they're the most untrustworthy people on the planet. So you've got to like you got to come with like your chest out. It's a pissing match, so to speak. So you have to come like, I'm this. That's not me at all. Like, I'm not the kind of person, but you have to like sell yourself like that. Another thing, it's a lot easier if someone else is speaking on your behalf. That's just how the industry works, where even if you have like your sister calling these places, say, hey, I represent so-and-so. And it's just, I don't know, it's the psychology behind it, but having someone speak and book for you for whatever their 10%, 20% commission works, just emailing people, sending them content, like even before like Instagram, I think Twitter might've been out then, but even before Instagram, like I was really big on content and sending people any sort of footage I can get from newsreels to clippings to teasers about the show. Like I was sending that out, blasting out to people saying, I'd love to be on this tour or go out here for this or make this appearance.
And you just mentioned about social media too. Do you feel like social media would have played maybe or changed a lot from when you were on the real world? Say if like Instagram and like Twitter were more prominent, because I know MySpace, I believe, was like a thing back then. But do you feel like if Instagram and Twitter were things like while you were on the show, things would have changed a lot? Or
who knows how fate works and then the universe would have panned out if there were social medias. I mean, I know that. I mean, how to put this? So the comments, like you know how people comment like on everything. There's just like a lot of negativity, and when it comes to social media, especially when it comes to reality shows and things like that, people instantly go there and you don't know who they are, you don't know what their age is. If they're a 40-year-old in their parents' basement, if they're a 12-year-old, on the streets, like whoever people are saying these things, these comments, slurs and slander and everything like that. I didn't have to deal with any of that. Maybe a little bit on my YouTube page. There actually still is some on there, but I need to go and clean that out. But yeah, so the YouTube page had some, but YouTube also wasn't like what it is now with the YouTube Live and the YouTube Red and YouTube TV. It wasn't like that. So people weren't really clamoring to go there and leave all that hate. But I digress. If there were, Instagrams and Twitters as big as they are back then on my show era, yeah, I probably would have maybe left some response to a lot of them with petty comments and got into what you never do that. That's like the golden rule. You don't give into that stuff. You don't give into the hate. But I probably, been stupid and young and been like, fuck you. Like I'm on tour right now. Like whatever. Like look at this. Like that probably would have been like a bad call for me, which would probably like put me in a worse position, for sure.
And it's a double-edged sword too, being like I guess you could call it like a social or public figure with how prominent social media is, because it comes with a lot of responsibility, but it also comes with a lot of potential negativity having yourself out there, because you really start to see like the bigger you get, like either the bigger crowd of people around you that are secretly envious of you, or the lesser crowd around you of people that want to see you fail.
Mm-hmm. The higher you go, the more people want to see you fall. Or
Exactly.
the heavier the pull of them wanting you to fall is how it goes.
What about these opportunities though that you mentioned about the Super Bowl, and I noticed that The Voice was also a thing. Could you maybe talk to me a little bit about those?
Yeah, so it's kind of still. Sorry, I just turned my phone over. I see random text come in. As far as let me go back. Here we go. Take two. No. So as far as the me going back to wanting to be behind the scenes, when I do a lot of my events, I don't like to do clubs per se or anything like extravagant. I like to go corporate. And the Super Bowl part, it still allowed me to be behind the scenes, but also DJ. So it was and I do this every year for Super Bowl, but it's typically for NFL on Fox. They're Fox NFL Sunday, so it's that show that leads up to, with all the football players. I think Gronk was like one of the bigger anchors this year, so it leads up to the Super Bowl. So I'm at the stadium, and they do their thing during the taping, but during a commercial break, there's a huge crowd out there, so you can't just go to commercial break and go silent. Like you've got to have music, interactions. We're throwing footballs around. The 49ers are over here. The Chiefs fans over here, we're getting riled up. I'm playing songs that are related to the Bay Area. I'm playing songs related to Kansas City, and I'm just mixing back and forth. All that stuff is behind the scenes. You won't see that on TV, and I like that, because I'm still doing what I do. I'm literally watching my mixes interact with two opposing sides, and people are just getting, just lit and they're drunk, having a good time. And it's the same thing over at TV shows when I do Kelly Clarkson's show on The Voice. It's during those commercial breaks, I'll come out. I laugh sometimes. It's kind of like a rodeo clown. Like if you really want to like label it that, it's like in between the acts. Like I come out and I do like my whatever it is, whether I'm DJing, whether I'm playing games, categories, and just all sorts of whatever comes to my head, depending on the crowd. So that's always during a commercial break. So doing those type of events, I found like a niche and a style. And besides the virtual DJ stuff, but that's kind of what I do now.
Wow, that's. It's hard to, really knock what you're doing, because what you're doing, I think a lot of people would like to do.
Thank you.
So I'm happy for you. But I do have to ask though, who are you rooting for in the Super Bowl though?
You mean the one back in February this year? Oh man. I would say the Chiefs, just because I forgot what the stat was, and I should know this, but like, didn't they haven't won in like 50 years? Is
That was
what?
their first. Yeah, that was their first time
Yeah, so
winning.
I was more or less rooting for that. I mean, I was a big fan of Richard Sherman as well, though. But I think that just Kansas City, especially what happened the year before, and I feel like the refs kind of cheated them out of that game with the Patriots. So I really wanted Kansas City to win, and I'm glad it did.
Yeah, and I don't know if you can see the flag behind me. I got the Seahawk thing going. So
There you go. Oh yeah, so you know what it's like to be messed with by the Patriots. Yo, what's his name is going to get that MVP this year, man. He's solid.
Wilson.
Russell Wilson, yeah, he's got to get the. I mean, at least get a few nods because I know he like never gets nominated, right?
He hasn't gotten one vote, no, which is
Okay.
crazy. And they actually played tonight too.
Say it again.
They played at night too.
Oh snap! Okay, I definitely make sure I'm recording that on my YouTube TV. Thanks for the heads up, man.
Yeah, for sure. But now, since obviously I feel like we passed the easy questions, now it's kind of time to dive into some of the dynamics that a lot of the fans were wanting me to ask about.
Let's do it.
Let's hear about this dynamic of yours with Greg from your season. So obviously we saw that thing kind of unfold, and it got pretty serious for a while. So what was that dynamic, and what do you think led to you guys kind of butting heads?
I don't know what led to us butting heads. I to this day I don't know. Honestly, he's a good dude. Like he's fun. There's a lot of like off the camera, like where him and I were just like goofing. Like we actually hung out the majority of the time together. If it wasn't me and Brianna, it was me and Greg, or it was me, Brianna, and Greg all hanging out together. Like I'm not sure I haven't seen the episode with Brianna when you all taped, but I thought like all three of us were kind of cool. He did some stupid things. And I think what's to answer your question, I think what made him kind of turn on me was the fact that I started to defend the other roommates from some of his actions, and that's when he was like, all right, well, if you're not on my side, then obviously you're on their side. So it was that kind of thing, and that's where I think it kind of took a turn for the worse.
Do you think like he was putting it on for the cameras at all, or is Greg pretty much like a straight shooter? What we saw is what we got.
Oh man, I mean, I don't want to plead the fifth, but like I just don't know. I don't know. It's like everything we did was real. Like or at least everything I did was real. I don't know. Is it as far as to say he did that because he saw the cameras come around the corner? Is it even deeper than that to where it's like the producers were in his ear, like we need you to be this person that season, like, or was he just simply like that? Like I don't know. I don't know, but there were some things that he was allowed to do that were like written in our laws, like whatever our contracts, that he still got away with, and that's when I started to like, I don't think they showed it, but like I got to a point where I really became like putting on a cape and trying to offend everybody, maybe a little bit too much, but like I was annoying the producers purposefully because they allowed him to get away with certain things to put my roommates at risk, to put their health at risk. So it got pretty like heated behind the scenes between me, him, and the production because I didn't know if they were both in cahoots with me or if it was just like they just like completely stepped back and let the gloves come off and let us both just duke it out,
And did you guys like talk like after the season was over, like and resolve anything, or did you guys just left it how it was?
We just left it how it was. I mean, we just kind of went and did our own thing. Once the season ends, you kind of just have to go out there and grind and enjoy that 15 seconds. So we never spoke. There were like akin to certain political supporters out there. We'll put it that way. How they have like a certain following. There was like a massive cult that was just like completely defending him. And wherever like I wrote something or posted something, mainly YouTube, it was just like, you should have did that to Greg. I can't believe you. How are you turned on Greg? And it was like, where are these thousands upon thousands of people like coming from? And I mean, whatever. I mean, for whatever, I forgot the term. Whatever case may be, there we go. He just, he built a following and he built a brand. So you can't really knock it. But I just didn't like when certain things happen that put the roommate's health at risk.
And this is where social media again comes into like plays, because obviously you mentioned YouTube and such, but say if Instagram and Twitter were big things back during the season, we see oftentimes, like, in today's day and age, like with shows, like I cover the challenge a lot, and we see like people pick sides of cast members that go at it. Like that, this probably could have been like the same case, like if social media was a big thing with you and Greg back then.
Very true. Yeah, it probably would have been. I mean, I'm pretty sure they've revamped their contracts now as far as like what castmates can say after each episode airs and things like that. You can't go on your social media and talk about, well, you'll see what happens on the next episode. Watch, I'm gonna get revenge. Like, I'm sure they can't do stuff like that, but we'd probably be in the same boat. You know, if an episode aired, tonight, and him and I were battling it out, yeah, everyone would go to Instagram and be like, oh, Greg, how dare you, or oh, Will, how dare you? But there's only a certain amount of things that I'm sure contractually we'd be able to snap back with.
Right, and now I got to ask you about another dynamic that people were really interested in. Is they wanted to know how the whole relationship with Janelle came about and what that was like.
I to this day, I don't know how it came about. I think I just saw her. Oh, our local watering hole that we always used to go to. I would see her from time to time, and I don't even know how we came to be. I think she may have spoken to me first, and I just did like my stupid nerd jokes that I do, and she liked it, and then we just kind of just started hanging out more.
So this was during the Hollywood season then, right? Like you didn't know her prior to coming onto it?
I did not. No, I just met her at a place where, like I said, it was like right down the street from us though, but apparently a lot of real worlders go and hang out there. So we went there, and at first it was kind of like an issue with production, because it's like, all right, now we're like cross-pollinating, and we don't want, because they're not contracted. They can just go and tell everything, whatever that they saw. But eventually, once the producers started to see that, like, I guess a storyline happening between her and I, because I mean, she was still mic'd up. Like they would have the boom mics, they could hear what her and I were saying. They're like, all right, this might go somewhere. Let's get her, cleared to come to the house and hang out and blah blah blah.
So did you know like she was on Key West like when you met her, or did you just know, like, did you just think she was a random girl?
I never saw the season, so I may have heard through somebody like, oh, that's Janelle from rural, Key West and things like that. But meeting her, I never, I didn't know who she was. Put it that way.
Right, and now kind of like a more serious question now is I wanted to know if because obviously Joey had passed away after your guys' season. Did you guys have like any type of relationship, or did you guys talk before his passing? Yeah,
so I mean, I know he had a few. This is all before he went on as a Dr. Drew show. So before that, he had some issues, and we would reach out. Just me and Dave, and even Nick Brown would reach out to him. So although Nick didn't really have the pleasure of meeting Joey like on the show, he was still like, part of like the boys crew. So all four of us, we would just kind of like check in with each other from time to time. But speaking on the phone, never really in person or anything like that. But as time passed, we all kind of just like felt. I mean, I still talk to Nick, but as time passed, like we all kind of just like went into our own lives,
Mm. And you just said you talked to Nick. Do you keep in contact with anybody else from your season, or you guys just kind of do your own thing?
As far as people I keep in contact with, it would be Nick Brown and Brianna Taylor. That's pretty much it. So whenever I go to Philly, before 2020, like I would travel with certain companies doing DJ gigs, and a lot of times I just wind up in Philly like once or twice a year. So that's when I will stop by and see Bree, and see the fam, see the little guy, and things like that. But Nick, I had him come to my wedding. He had to be a part of my wedding for sure. So he came out, showed some love. And, I still talk to him from time to time. And again, when I do travel, if it lands me in New York, I make sure to hit him up as well.
Right. And I think another thing I want to ask you about, and I think this is the question that everybody's always on their mind, is why we didn't see Will on a challenge. But I've heard that there was a challenge a few years back called Battle of the Seasons that you and Nick apparently accepted, but you guys couldn't get the girls to round out the team. Was that true?
Huh. I don't know. So let me say this first, and their lawyers will like swear it's not that, but there's a little piece in the contract, and maybe they've changed it now, but The 4 or 5 that I've been asked to go to, I told them, I was like, hey, I am down. I am in. There's just a little paragraph in your contract. It says that while the show is airing, I can't be on TV. I can't do any press. And like, I get it. That's fine. But I'm in LA now, and I do get commercials. I get booked as a DJ in a commercial. Can you amend the contract so that it says, like, with the exception of commercials and whatever? Like, because I don't want the show to be airing. I get placed like in a McDonald's commercial, like just even in the background doing like this or whatever, and then MTV comes like, oh, nope. So give us that paycheck, buddy. No. So it's like, and they just keep saying, no, it doesn't mean that. It's like, well, then change the contract. What's a standard contract for everyone signing it? It's like, well, I'm not everybody. I just need you to amend that. Like, let's get this plane tickets. Like, let me pack my bag. I'm ready to like go to Thailand. I'm ready to go to Bali. Like, I'm ready to go to Australia. Like, let's do this, man. Let me get my revenge. Like, I want to do this. So it just never happened. They never changed it. And so that's just the end of that pretty much. It was a contractual issue.
So do you have any knowledge as to if that Battle of the Seasons thing was the case? Because I think Nick said somewhere else that you and him had accepted that one. I think it was 2012, but they couldn't get two girls.
That's a good question. I would err that would be the cause. Nick would be the person that definitely knows that, because he was so into the season, especially when he had that first one. He was so into it and wanted to keep going back. And I know that he was very connected to the person who does the casting. So he probably got like the tips from them in regards to why it all kind of fell apart. And I'm pretty sure, because just knowing that the girls, it's not their thing, especially like doing one season. Like they saw themselves on TV. They were like, nah, we're good. Like, we need to get back and get our careers going. So I definitely could see that being the case.
And did you happen to watch like any of your former roommates, like when they did their seasons, or did you just?
I did. I watched a little bit of it. The challenges, they're as much as I want to do one, they're not like for me to watch. It's just I get too like just like mad at like certain people or whatever. So I believed I watched the one. Brianna was on one more, right?
She did
like right away or something. So yeah, I watched that one. The one where Nick got injured, I don't think I saw that one. I may have saw that scene, but I didn't see like the entirety. Like I watch it just to see their faces on the screen, like, oh my god, cool. But I don't like stay for the entire show, so to speak.
How do you think you would have done though? Because obviously there's a competition aspect, but there's also like a social aspect too, to where like people politic and stuff. I feel like you would have benefited well in the social game.
I was gonna say the opposite. So I feel like I would crush everybody physically. I would dominate everybody as far as like athletic skills and things like that. But socially, because there's a micromanager / pettiness to me / like that, back to that like Robin Hood mentality that I have, where like I want to like destroy the rich powers and give it to those less fortunate kind of thing, while doing like asshole things. Like I have that kind of mentality. So I feel like the social aspect, I would probably like get voted into certain things like every other episode. But at the same token, I would come out because of my endurance and strength abilities.
So you do have like a sporting background now, or was like
naturally
athletic?
I mean, I've been weight training, I think, since like after the shows when I really got into it. And I've been working at a company called Tough Mudder for 4 years now. So I run the events. I also DJ them. Once I get done DJing, I run the course maybe once or twice. I run with, all shapes and sizes of people. I'm a personal trainer, like I said, and I work for this fitness company. It's called Form. It's kind of like Peloton, but it's a mirror. And I'm one of their on-demand personal trainers. I can go and like select and see all my different workouts and stuff like that. So fitness, I mean, it's like call it a side hustle, but it's like, it's a lifestyle as well.
Mm. And obviously, I'm sure you have like no knowledge as to how they do stuff now with the challenge, but the way they're pulling from the casting criteria, Real World doesn't exist anymore, and now they're pulling from shows like Survivor, Big Brother. They've even pulled from America's Got Talent and Netflix.
Really?
From this. Yeah. So I was going to ask, what is your thoughts on them pulling from those other networks and shows?
I mean, from a business standpoint, you got to stay relevant, and it appears that it's run its course. The idea of having Real World and Road Rules kind of people doing it, so they want to switch it up. they want to stay with. It's a changing demographic. You know, young kids are now coming into that age range that are going to be the viewers. So it makes sense. Like, they're watching all these different shows. Why not bring them all into one location and have them compete? Like, it's a brilliant idea. I can't knock it. So, I mean, is it taking away money from other real worlders that just do this consistently? Yeah, because they go, they do these shows, they win this money, they go on tour, they have that money, they can invest it, they can put it other places, they just spend it for the family, it dries up, then they go back, do another show, win some money, do a tour. It's like a nice cycle. Like, if you're like a Johnny Bananas or CT, someone that can do that, and if you can do a bar tour or a spring break and collect that bag, yeah, if it's taken away from them, then that's definitely is a shitty thing. But I mean, it's business at the end of the day. So you just got to find your next niche.
Right. And do you have any plans for the rest of this year now, or?
As far as the rest of the year, I mean, I'm just doing these virtual events. So I know we talked about it, but I'm number one on Google when you look up virtual party DJ. So I'm DJing sometimes at 3 a.m. for Australia. I'm DJing at 9 a.m. for Ireland events. And it's just like being worldwide. I'm working every day in December except for like Mondays and Tuesdays. But like besides that, I'm working just DJing for the planet. So that's going to be the rest of my year, hopefully.
And now, do you have any advice for maybe like younger DJs or people trying to get their foot in the door in whatever ambition they have?
I mean, there's so much. I mean, I know we only have so much time, but from a technical aspect, I would say if you want to learn to DJ, yeah, definitely learn by mixing house first. Just learn how to mix beats together by mixing house. Then you can move into more, abstract beats and different patterns and rhythms of hip hop and pop and rock and things like that. So, but from a business standpoint, I mean, I would just say put together a nice brand, like, research how to brand and get a proper logo and a name and get your website. I mean, everything is digital, unfortunately, right now. So you utilize that time and get your name set up, all your accounts, get your name across every social media platform. As annoying as it is, you got to do that, or pay somebody to do it. Just get out there and get that. 'Cause it's a lot easier to sell shit in a gold package, and then to sell gold in a shitty package. So that's the business part. I can tell all the young DJs coming up.
Right. And thank you again for your time. Where can we find you, though, so I can link this in the description for the viewers? Any websites of yours where we can maybe find your music?
That's what's up, man. Yeah, so if you just Google, I just say the website. So if you just go to the website, DJ Will Gill, everything's there. If you're looking for the virtual event side of things, that's on there as well. I do also own a name, Zoom DJs, so if it's a lot easier for you to remember that, zoomdjs.com is the website. But just Google DJ Will Gill, you'll see me, you'll see the brand, the entity, and then we all connect from there.
Sweet. And thank you again, Will, and I wish you good luck in the rest of your endeavors and the rest of this year. Hopefully things start to clear up. So thank you.
Thank you so much for your time, man.